team and welcome back to the channel. So before starting the video, small request, please subscribe to the channel. We upload videos on daily basis. Also, I'm running a new DevOps series which is 30 days of DevOps, where I'm covering all the important DevOps topics and tools. Okay, so each day we are covering new tools, and each day like I'm showing you complete conceptual overview of that tool as well as hands-on implementation of that. Okay, also we are using Jenkins and integrating multiple tools together. So if you follow, you will definitely be able to know DevOps little bit better. Also within these 30 days we will be covering cloud DevOps as well, and we will be using Azure DevOps platform for that. Okay, so everything I'm showing you for free. It's available on YouTube playlist, you can go through it. Okay, coming to today's video. So today we have Kubernetes part 2 of day 9. Okay, before that, one more thing. So yesterday or day before yesterday, someone was spamming continuously in my YouTube comments as show networking. See, networking is important, but the thing is at this point I am basically trying to make you understand the tools, how they are working, what are they mainly used for, what problem they are solving, and how can we do a fully fledged application basic deployment using those tools. Okay, so once you understand everything, because see, even freshers and beginners are also watching this video, so directly jumping on the networking part, it's not so good. Okay, first you need to understand the tool, the basic concept of it, how it works, what problem it solves and everything. Then you do a hands-on implementation of that. When you have completed all those things, then you jump to networking aspect of that tool. Okay, even in case of Kubernetes, what we are going to do, we are going to set up a Kubernetes cluster with the proper one node, because if you are going to set up multiple nodes, it will use a lot of resources. So for now we will use one master node and one agent node. Okay, and already yesterday I explained you what exactly is Kubernetes, what problem it solves and all. Okay, so today we are going to set up Kubernetes. We are going to deploy a application which will be having a front end, back end and a H2 database. Okay, so see, for freshers or beginners, or even for people who are working as a DevOps engineer, doing those things very easily is a very good thing. Okay, so once you learn all those things, once you integrate these tools with tools like Jenkins or cloud platforms, then you should be, when you are confident, then you should start learning networking aspect. Okay, it should not, you should start jumping from the beginning only, network. Simply shouting network, it won't do any help. Okay, so last 2 days that guy was literally spamming my comment section, network, and he was mentioning other YouTubers. I'm saying, if you find my videos are not useful, I'm not begging you come and watch. If you find my videos useful, then only watch. If you find it could be better, you can definitely comment and give some feedback on it. Even at this point, I get every day lots of messages over LinkedIn or emails. Okay, so whoever is messaging me through LinkedIn, they are saying, Aditya, I found your account through your YouTube channel, I really loved it. I directly, first thing that I say to them, thank you, but can you give some feedback on the latest video whichever you have watched. Okay, the feedback, I ask for feedback because I use it to make my videos better. Okay, so first learn the flow, how DevOps work, what is the flow, what are the tools mainly used for, like that. Then go for the then do the deep dive of concept. Okay, so today what we are going to do, so today basically we are going to set up a Kubernetes cluster, okay, from scratch, and steps that will be needed is on my GitHub account, but these steps I will just add it in day 9 documentation, so which you can follow. Okay, also see, if today what we are going to do, today from scratch I will show from creating the VM to deploying the application. Okay, so just follow the videos properly and then you will be able to build and deploy using Kubernetes. Okay, basically deploy on Kubernetes. Okay, so this is the AWS account which I have, and I will click on launch instances. Okay, yeah. Okay, so name I won't provide anything as of now because we are going to create 2 instances. Okay, and OS images I will use Ubuntu. Scroll down and using this AMI. So here we are going to use 20.4 LTS. See, 22.4 I don't use because one time I was using and with certain tools it was not compatible. So for that reason I try to like avoid that, and I use this one lower version which is 20.4. okay, and in instance type I am going to use two large instance, but if you are going to do, you can like take one large, one medium, that is fine. See, since I'm making a video and I want everything to be smooth, so I'm going to take T2 large. Okay, but one VM you should also take large, and one medium you can take for practice. Okay, then keep here. So I already have this one in network. Okay, so 3, yeah. So I have this one network configuration configured. Okay, also in a minute I will just show you like what are the ports I have kept open on my machine. Okay, and configuration I want to keep this 20 GIB, and here number of instances, so whatever number you provide, that number of instances AWS will create. So I have put 2, that means it will create 2 instances. Okay, so I will click on launch instance. If I go here, and you can see 2 instances are there. So let's provide a name. First instance I want to provide a name as master. Yeah, second instance I want to provide the name as slave node. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so both the machines you can see they are up and running now. So what we are going to do next is connect them through MobaX term. So this is for master node. I will copy the IP address, go to MobaX term, in session click on SSH. Remote host will be provide the IP address. In username we will provide Ubuntu, spelling is correct, UBUNT. Okay, private key, so I will select the private key which I have on my machine. Let me select it. Yeah, this one. Click OK. Okay, so first VM we got connected, sudo su. Yeah, okay, so second VM, let's also like I will just rename this so that it is clear which VM we are using. Master, this is the master node. Okay, let me create a duplicate of it. Okay, so I will rename the duplicate as slave. Okay, and here we need to change the IP address, rest username, and the key will be same. Okay, so we will go back to AWS, open the slave node, click on the IP address, go back to MobaX term, paste the IP address into remote host, click OK. Okay, and also I will just change the color also. So master node I want the color to be red, and slave node I want the color to be maybe green or something, little bit just different. Okay, yeah, this one. Okay, now let's access. So this is the master node and this is the slave node. Okay, great. So this quickly we have configured our, what is that, master node and slave node. Okay, okay, now one thing I wanted to show you is the EC2 network configuration which I am using, the security groups. Okay, so let me open that and see. I am using this this one, security group name launch wizard -2. So I wanted to show you the ports that I have opened as of now on my machine. Okay, yeah, so these are the important ports which you will be needing so that you can set up Kubernetes. See, this one 6443, so this is the port on which like there's some like a Kubernetes cluster will be accessible, and this 8000 to 9000, that will be the ports I have opened, so that the ports that will be opening inside on service and container. So for example, like 8080 contain 8080 port is open, we are going to use then 8080 8070. So this, so I just created a range of port for that. Okay, and yeah, 6443 for Kubernetes cluster. And then you are seeing this is the big range for 30,000 to 32,767. Okay, so basically today when we are going to do deployment, we are going to use node port. Okay, so if you have like read the documentation of the Kubernetes cluster of day 9 part 1, you would get to know that this node port is a port which is open on node. Okay, so since we are going to deploy the application inside the node, and so we need to access the application through a port, so that port will be called as node port. Okay, so usually like the range of node port is 30,000 to 32,767. So I have opened the whole port because there will be a port shared with us, and using that port we'll be able to access the application. Okay, so these many ports you can just go ahead and open for this POC. Okay, now what we need to do is start installing the Kubernetes first. Okay, so see, these are the commands which we need to run, and these are the commands which will be accessible to you. Okay, so let's update the packages first. Okay, so one more thing, like in steps I have clearly mentioned like which commands to run where. For example, this first set of commands we need to run on master node and slave node both. Second command we need to run just on master node. Third command just on master node. Fourth command just on master node. Okay, so see, everything is very clearly mentioned, so you won't be getting confused, I guess. So that will be a good thing. Okay, so first we will run the steps on master node, and then once it completes, then we will go for the slave node. Okay, and see, this is the Docker. So since we are going to use Docker runtime also, so that is one of the processes inside node, so we will be needing that as well. Okay, so let's install docker.io. Yeah, okay, 2 commands run. Next we want to restart. Okay, also see, the speed of these things will be depending on the size the size of the VM that you have taken. If it is having like so many CPU, then obviously it will work fast, but since in T2 large I think there are only 2 CPU, so it won't be like so fast, but yeah, it is manageable. And now we have restarted our Docker service. Okay, so next we need to run the curl command. Okay, and actually we are going to add the packages, okay, for Kubernetes, so paste that as well. Yeah, this is done. Next we have this again we will update because we just now we added some packages. Okay, so finally we will run this command to install kubeadm. Okay, so these commands were the first set of commands which we need to run on master node and slave node. So now again we need to run these commands. See, on master node we have run, it is running. Now we can go to slave node, and here we can start running the commands. Okay, see, the reason that in case you are very new, you will understand that yesterday I explained you that there will be one master node and there could be multiple slave nodes. Okay, in also like it's not just one master node will always be there. If like it's a huge architecture, then there could be more than one master node. Okay, if there are so many slave nodes to be managed, then to manage all those there could be like more than one master node. Okay, but as of now, since we have a very small like infrastructure, just to one master node and one slave node, so it's fine for us, right? Okay, now let me run this command. Okay, meanwhile, yeah, okay, so Docker restarted, done. Then we need to add the repository. Let me copy this. Sorry, yeah. Okay, this is done. Next we need to update. Okay, so see, once this is done, 2 ways I will be showing the deployment. One is like directly we can go to cluster and directly how we can do the deployment, and second way I will show you how we can do the same thing using Jenkins. Okay, so well, like both the ways it should be known to us. So, and also like see, even Kubernetes have tons of commands. Okay, but we are going to use the basic ones which are used to like for example like deploying the application, checking if how many pods are there, how many services are there, then what are the application to check the logs. So those kind of things we can see. Okay, Okay, so both the commands, like both the commands list of commands we have ran on master node and slave node. Okay, next we need to run this command on master node only. Okay, so let's do that. Go back to master node, paste it here. Okay, so let it run and let's see what are the next steps we need to follow. Okay, so once this is run, basically what it will do, from what I know, it will generate a token and a command to connect the this slave node to master node. Okay, and let's see. Yeah, see, depending on the size and the resources available in the VM, it will be able to run as fast as possible. Okay, kubelet. Okay, it is see, as I mentioned yesterday, kubelet, you at this point you know like what kubelet is used for. It will be used for like creating the resources and all. Okay, see, these commands have run. Kubelet is set up. Next to, if you see here, from here to here. Okay, so this is basically the command to join our slave node with the master node, so that slave node can be managed by master node. And how authentication is happening, this is a specific token sort of thing. Okay, here it is. So using this, the authentication will be happening. Okay, if you are like having multiple slave nodes, then you can run the same command on other nodes as well. Okay, so what I will do, I will just copy this for now and we will run this command in our slave node. Okay, and just remember that I'm running all these commands as a root user. Okay, so in case when you are doing that, remember to do the same. Also, these steps are like very clearly I have written which step to run on which node and like in what order you need to run. Everything is mentioned. Okay, so you don't need to worry about a single thing. Okay, so if you see here the message, this node has joined the cluster. Okay, that means like this slave node has been added to master node. Okay, and last line, if you see, kubelet was informed of the new secure connection. As I mentioned, kubelet is the process of node which will be responsible for like creating the pods. Okay, creating the pods or any other resources, whatever the request comes for. Okay, now let me clear the screen, Control L. Same thing I will do on slave also. Yeah, okay, so if you know like the executable of Kubernetes is kubectl. Like for example, like you have studied the Maven, I guess. Okay, so you install like a Maven tool, but when you want to run Maven commands, you write like this: Maven clean install, Maven package, Maven compile, right? Similarly, we have in case of Kubernetes, the executable we have is kubectl. Okay, so kubectl is the executable using which we can run the commands for Kubernetes. Okay, so next up, what I'm going to show you is how we can deploy an application using YAML files or manifest files. Okay, and we'll be running the basic kubectl commands to see a number of pods, then nodes. Okay, so let's do that as well. Okay team, so as of now what we have done, we have connected our slave node with master node. Okay, and once that these things are run, now we need to run these commands. Okay, so let's copy this, and this we will need to run inside master. So one by one we will run. Okay, see, this is creating a specific folder inside .cube with name of .cube, which will be containing the kubeconfig files. Okay, so when we are using this like we need to authenticate, then we use these files. Yes, so these commands also we have run. Now two last command we need to run, so let's do that as well one by one. See, if error comes, just leave it, no issues. Okay, and we will run the last command, copy this and paste it here. Okay, so as of now all the commands we have run successfully. Okay, till here we were needing and everything is run now. Okay, so let's try some basic commands. Okay, so I can run kubectl get nodes. You can see it's like very easy language to write. We are like this command, what it will do, it will share the information of the nodes that are connected. Okay, so if I put enter, see these two nodes. So one is the itself like master node, and second one is this node, slave node. Okay, so as of now two nodes we are having, one is master node and one is slave node. Okay, so next command we can run is kubectl get pods. So whenever we are going to create pods, then to see how many pods are there, we can write this command and click enter. You can see no resources found in the default namespace. Okay, now you can see this specific word, default namespace. Now what exactly is namespace? So for example, what happens by default namespace, think of namespace as a folder. Okay, so let's say when we are having an applications that requires multiple pods to be created. Okay, so in that case what we do, we create multiple namespaces, or you can say multiple folders, and name that namespace as project 1, project 2, whichever project. Okay, let's say project 1 requires 3 pods of its own. So what we will do, we will deploy the pods inside that specific namespace only. For project 2, it will be having its own namespace, so we will deploy its pod inside its own namespace. Okay, so as of now, let's see, I don't know if this should work. Kubectl get namespace. Yeah, okay, great. So you can see as of now by default these many namespaces are available, and default is the one where we can do the deployment team. So you can see these are the default namespaces. To create a new namespace, we can run the command as kubectl create. See, whatever new resources you are going to create, initial command will be kubectl create, be it deployment pod or anything else. We will go with this kubectl create, and what kind of resource we are going to create is namespace. So namespace, and then the name of the space, basically the name of namespace which we want to create. Okay, so here let's say I want to create as project 1. Okay, click enter, and you can see namespace has created. If I run the command again, kubectl get namespace, you can see last namespace, which is our. Okay, so see, the main reason for creating multiple namespaces, from my experience I can tell you, when we are having full multi-tier architecture with multiple pods in single project, then what we do, we create a separate namespace for that, so that all the pods related to that project can be created inside that specific folder or namespace. Okay, so that is beneficial, because every time when you want to check on the pods, you can directly just search with the namespace and go inside that, and then you can check the status of logs and all. Okay, so next what we are going to do is deploy the application. Okay, and for this deployment purpose, what we are going to do is we are going to use the application shopping cart. Okay, the reason that I wanted to use the shopping cart application is that where is it? Yeah, shopping cart. So the reason that I wanted to use this application is because it is having front end, back end, as well as a small database, H2 database. So it's a full-fledged application for us, and it works very fine. So I wanted to use this application. Okay, now to explain you how it's going to work and how we are going to deploy the shopping cart application. Okay, so for that, if you remember yesterday, where it is, let me just see. Yeah, so you can see these were the YAML files which we were discussing yesterday, right? One YAML, one deployment file, and one is service file. As I have already discussed what is a deployment YAML file and what service is used for, right? Okay, so the main difference that comes is this one, the image. Sorry, name of image. Yeah, this image. So as I mentioned yesterday, Kubernetes is a tool which is used for container orchestration. So what is happening, what exactly is happening here, ki we are deciding ki like we are deciding ki that a container where it should be running and with what kind of environment it should be running, right? See, as of now, since it's a basic YAML file, but when you see a corporate level YAML file, those have so many much more like options. Okay, for example, even in YAML you can define how much CPU, how much RAM should be allocated to this specific pod. Okay, so those things also can be defined, but since even freshers and beginners are watching this video, so we will go with the basic one, but the basic that YAML file, but it should be able to deploy a fully fledged application as well. Okay, so you can see like what we need to do, we need to change this image name. So whatever image you are providing, if it is compatible and if it is not like having any kind of issues, then if you run this YAML file in Kubernetes, then using that Kubernetes should be able to create a pod from this YAML file. Okay, similarly for this also. Okay, so what I am going to do, okay, let me first open Docker Hub. Okay, so since we have built this Docker Hub repository, this shopping cart application Docker image multiple times, so I guess in my Docker Hub repository it should be there and we can use that. Okay, so let me log in and see, I am just trying to explain you everything in the easiest way possible, because you see, if I start guiding you from at some point, then obviously if you are smart enough, then you will start learning things by your own self. Okay, you won't be needing any other help. You got to know, okay, this is the way that we go for deployment, this is the way that we deploy applications. Then obviously you will try deployments in different ways with different applications, right? So that's what I wanted to do. Okay, so this is the Docker image and I guess this has been working fine all time. Yeah, where is the, one second, yeah. So see, this is the image name, this is the image name we can use to fetch the image, right? So what we can do, we can go here and paste it here. Okay, and target here, we don't need to provide. See, these names you are seeing, Spring Boot, Kubernetes, these can be changed, but you need to change accordingly, like you need to change according to match labels, because this is the one which using which a service will identify, okay, these are the deployments that I need to handle. Okay, so but as of now, like since name doesn't matter too much, so we will just keep it as it is, right? Okay, also like container port. So if you remember, if I go back to this repository, open the Docker file of the shopping cart application. Yeah, so if you look closely, the container port that is going to be exposed is 8070. Okay, see, the interesting thing is this application from wherever I got, so this application was not having any YAML files. Okay, so I took a YAML file from another application, I just identified the things that we need to change. Okay, and after that I just we are going to do little bit change, and then we will be able to deploy a different application using a different YAML, right? That's what we are going to do. Okay, so you saw that the container port that is opened in using Docker file is 8070. Okay, so this will be the container port. Next we have replicas. So let's say I just want two pods. Okay, yesterday also I explained the replicas, what they do basically. Like there will be two pods of the same application, and how it helps is that if one pod is overloaded, then whenever a next request is coming to access the application over browser, then service YAML file or service like Kubernetes service, this one, what it does, as I mentioned, that it acts as a load balancer also. Okay, so it will see like, okay, one pod is overloaded with the request traffic, so what it will do, it will check for the load on the other pod and it will redirect the request to other pod. Okay, similarly you can have as many number of replicas as you want, you can just need to change the number here. So as of now we will just go with 2, right? Okay, so this is fine. So in here also what I am going to change is change the ports, and I have already explained the port and target port. One is the port on which service is listening to, and another one, target port, is the port on which service is going to forward the request to. Okay, and see, here we have defined node port, because node port is the port that will be open on this slave node. Okay, on this slave node, the node port will be open, right? Okay, so let me clear the screen and let's create a directory, separate directory, so we can keep our YAML files. Make directory Aditya, click enter, cd Aditya, yeah, and okay, so we are inside this file, this folder. Okay, now see, for Kubernetes is not interested in basically like what you are doing with Jenkins or something. What main important thing that matters for Kubernetes is it needs the YAML files. Okay, YAML files, or you can also call manifest files. So it needs the manifest files, and because it is going to start a deployment, do the deployment using those manifest files. Okay, so what we are going to do, one thing we can do is keep these, see, two ways you can do the deployment. Like you can either keep this deployment YAML and service YAML separately and deploy them one by one. Okay, but to save little bit of time, what we can do, we can go ahead and like keep them in the same file, and we can just run the deployment command one time, and within one time only it will deploy both the files. Okay, so I guess you can understand like which one is easier. Okay, so let me show you like which repository CI/CD pipeline, which repository YAML file I was using. So let me open DevOps CI/CD. Where is it? Yeah, this one. Okay, so if you see here, deployment service.yaml, right? If I open it, see, the way that you can like make these YAML file in this, keep the service and deployment YAML file in the same way using these 3 dash lines. This means that okay, this file, the end of this file is done. Next we have whatever we have is it's a new file. Okay, and that's exactly what we are going to do. So what I will do, I will just edit this file, copy everything, and let's go paste it to, yeah, so we are going to paste it here first. Okay, and here we are going to change the image names, Docker image names, which is this one, the shopping cart. I hope like you have listened everything, because that's all you need to do, nothing else. If you want, you can just start the implementation, but for that also you need to understand whatever I am saying. Port is 8070. Usually several of my subscribers are facing issues with the port, so everything I am just showing from scratch, from creating the VM to deploying it. Okay, 70 here also 8070. Okay, so rest everything I guess it's fine. Comments, if you want to remove, you can remove, but it's okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I will copy this whole thing. Okay, and here we are going to create a new file. Okay, so in Linux, when you want to create a new file, you can run the command touch and the name of the file which you want to create. Okay, but also like once we create the file is created, but next time like we need to edit the file, right? So to skip this stage, what I like you can go with is vi, then the name of the file. So what vi will do is like it will create and quickly send you to the edit section. Okay, so 2 tasks we do with one command, right? So instead of touch, if you are going to edit the file, you can go with vi. Okay, so let's provide the name. So name I want to provide as deployment service.yaml. Okay, click enter, and you can see directly we are into edit section. I can press I to insert, right click, paste everything. Okay, yeah, so just to verify everything is fine. Okay, kind is deployment, replicas we want to, name is this one, Docker image name is this, container port 8070, same port we have opened in case of service also. The service will also listen on 8070. See, even you can change this port, you can change it to 8080, that is fine, but the thing is I just wanted to keep everything same so that we don't need to like get worried about anything. Okay, and yeah, so and also remember type, we are using node port. See, node port is not the best way to access the application, but for starters we can go with node port because we are doing our own POC. In future we can explore more options. Okay, there are other options as well which I will be showing you in future, but here I want to guide like freshers, beginners as well as experienced to go with the deployment part. so that you can understand how Kubernetes work and how it does deployment, right? Okay, so next what I will press escape colon WQ. See, when you press escape, it will take you out of this editor, and by pressing colon WQ, it will save the file whatever you have inserted and it will exit you. So click enter. Okay, so if I also, like in Linux, when you want to view the contents of the file, you can run the command as cat and then deploy name of the file. So if I click enter, you can see file has been updated and saved. Okay, so let me clear screen by Control L. Okay, now coming to like how we are going to deploy the application. Okay, so for that what we can do, there are like two basic commands. One is kubectl create -f, then the name of the file. Okay, but this is like usually done in case of when you are doing it for the first time. Okay, there is another command. If I can show you, kubectl, once again, kubectl apply -f, then we have name of our YAML file. Okay, now the difference between kubectl create -f deployment name and deployment file name and kubectl apply -f the YAML file name, the difference is create we are supposed to use for the first time when you are doing it for the first time. Apply, so apply can be used in case of first time, as well as if you are just updating the resources. So see, when as just before I just show you, the touch command can create the file and vi command can create the file as well as take you to editing. So if we are able to do two tasks with one command, then we should always go with that, right? So it's better to use kubectl apply to create resources even. Okay, and this is the only command that we need to run to deploy, do the deployment and access the application. Okay, to create the ports and the services. Okay, so if I click enter, okay, so here in logs you can see directly deployment .app / name of the deployment file, then service / spring boot dot this one. Okay, these two things are created, and to check the status of these resources, we can run the command as kubectl and get. First of all, we will check for ports, so we will write kubectl get ports. Okay, so you see there are two ports of the deployment kind. The reason for that is that we defined in our YAML file. If I go back here in our YAML file, the replica set we have defined. One second, yeah. So in the number of replicas we have defined is 2. Okay, and that is useful when you are like having a heavy application which gets lots of traffic. So like if one pod is like getting so many traffic, then use with the help of service, what we can do, service, as mentioned earlier, service can act as a load balancer also. Load balancer is something what it does if like request is coming, too much request is coming, then service will check which pod is having less like traffic and less load. So whichever is having less load, it will forward the request to that specific pod, right? Okay, so you can see pods are up and running. Next we want to check for service, so we can run the command as kubectl get. You can write whole thing service, or short form you can write svc, I guess. Click enter. Okay, so you can see one is like Kubernetes cluster IP, that is the main like whole cluster thing. Okay, but next we have Spring Boot, this one service. Okay, type is node port, which we defined our YAML file. Okay, and here port. Okay, so here you can see two ports are there. Okay, so two ports is like 8070 is the port on which our service is listening to. Okay, on which like it is getting requests to, and this port 32235. Okay, this is the port on which we can access the application. Now if you remember, this port has like a very large name like 32,000, right? And same thing I showed you in our, if I go back here in our this security group where I have opened certain ports. Okay, so this one is 00, but here if you see the range I have kept is 30,000 to 32,767. See, this is the port on which like whenever like we are deploying applications, on this port only those applications will be deployed, and one single port from that will be here. Okay, now if you just note down this what is that port 32,235, right? So to access the application, what we can do, we can first of all copy the IP address. Okay, for IP address also remember, let me just explain you a little bit. See, there were two machines, two nodes, you can say master node and slave node, right? And when we deploy the slave, as I mentioned in yesterday's session, slave node is the node on which our actual application will be deployed, right? So to access the application, instead of using master node IP address, we'll be using slave node IP address, because using master we have deployed the application to slave node, right? Okay, so let us copy the IP address. If I go to edit session, copy the IP address from here, okay, and let's paste it here, okay, colon. Now what was the IP port open? 32235, okay, so let's write it here, 32235. I guess it's the correct IP address. Okay, great. Now you can see the application is up and running. If I go to registration, it is giving everything fine, okay. So let's try to log into it. Admin, password will be admin, right? Login, yeah. So you can see we are able to log in, and this is how you deploy a basic fully fledged application which will be having front end, back end, and a database. Okay, when I say like it is having database, which you are not able to see as of now, but whenever you like go on registration and put new details, okay, what it does, it will fill those details inside the database and store those details on database, okay. So next time when you have click on registered and you have registered the application, and next time you are using those credentials to log in, so from database it will match, okay. And in case of this application, the H2 database is being used, okay. So I guess it's quite useful. So one way we have deployed the application, right? One way we have deployed the application using YAML files and service, okay. Also, you don't need to worry about anything because everything is already available on my this account, okay. So separately I will just share you all the links of YAML files, then the steps to install Kubernetes, okay. Okay, so next what I want to show you is how we can do the deployment using Jenkins. So let's do that as well. Okay team, so after struggling for quite some time, I did a workaround which I'm going to show you, okay. So actually, like previously there was a plugin, Kubernetes plugin available in Jenkins, using which you can do the deployment from Jenkins directly, but that plugin is like not working anymore and it's depreciated, okay. So in place of that, there are some other plugins like see, for example, see, even this plugin is not working. So if I go to install, it should be there, Kubernetes. There are so many plugins like Kubernetes CLIs, and these are credential providers and all, okay. So I'm not going to use these, okay. So consider this as a task for yourself. I want you to like test these plugins and try to deploy using these plugins from Jenkins to Kubernetes, okay. For me, I just found another very like just a workaround sort of thing using which I can do the deployment from Jenkins, okay. So let me tell you the exact scenario. So if you remember, like we created the cluster using Kubernetes, root user, okay. So as a root user, I can run the commands, but in case I come out of root and try to run the command as kubectl get nodes, see, it does not work, okay, because it does like Ubuntu user does not have access. So I just go back to root user. So same thing I want to do, like here inside Jenkins we are using Jenkins user to run the commands or shell commands, anything, but I want to run kubectl commands, okay. So how do I fix that, right? So first let's create a job, Kubernetes pipeline, discard old bits to 2, I just want to keep it 2, scroll down, and from here I will select hello world, okay. So first obviously we need to have the repository because it contains the source code as well as the YAML file, right? Yeah. So first let's add the git stage. If I go here, git, and since we are going to use shopping cart application, so let's go to repository, then shopping cart, and yeah, let's clone this. So as of now, just to let you know, you can see here I have added the YAML file also just an hour ago, okay. And let's give the URL here, and branch name is main, so let's fix that as well, including polling, yeah, okay. So this is done. I will just copy this and paste it here. Okay, so this is done. And also, like, we are not going to use any other stage now because already Kubernetes cluster is running on the VM, so I don't want it to get overloaded. Okay, because also, like, since I have already shown you all the other stages till Docker push commands, so you can follow that. Okay, so here let's provide a name as Kubernetes deploy. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so just to give you an overview, what exactly did I do? So we are running commands with Jenkins user. So what I did, I ran this command vi sudo. Okay, so this is like some configuration about the users who is having admin and sudo. So as of now, like in your file, if you open this, you will just see root, but I added Jenkins user also with the similar like privileges as root user. Okay, so once I did that, I just saved it, and sorry about that. Yeah, so that's I did. Like first I give the permission to Jenkins as root, and then I set up a password for Jenkins password. Then in this format you can set up a Jenkins password for Jenkins user. So I set a password. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the commands as sudo where I will give the password. Okay, so if I run the command as such, then echo, so inside echo I will provide the password which I have just kept as Aditya. See, this is just a demo sort of thing, it's not the best practice, but I just wanted to test a workaround using which I could deploy using Jenkins. Okay, but I would request you also to try a different kind of thing, different kind of approach. Okay, so like I just provided a password from directly here. See, there is another way also, but which is like to give the password in the form of variable, which will like fix the issue that password is visible in the pipeline. Okay, but just a workaround, I'm just doing this. Okay, so yeah, this one. Okay, then what I can do, I can run this sudo -s. So -s basically prompts for input from user. Okay, so that input, see, I'm using a pipe. Okay, so if you have worked with little bit of shell script, you know this pipe means like first this command will run, first command this much. Okay, and whatever the output comes, that will be used as input in this command. Okay, so like this, and if I run the kubectl get nodes. Okay, so let's try to run this and let's see what output does it give. Build now, and yeah, so first, like, obviously it will clone the repository to create a local copy, and here, see, now we are able to see like run the sudo commands. Okay, as mentioned earlier also, this is not the best practice, but I am just doing it because I wanted to see another approach if I could use in a different way. Okay, so this is running, and my nodes are running for about 105 minutes. Okay, now to do the deployment, what we can do, we can run few more sudo commands. Okay, so what I will do, instead of this, I will write kubectl apply -f, then the deployment file. Okay, so deployment service.yml. Okay, and this command should be able to deploy the files, and to see if the files are deployed or not, we can copy the command again, paste it here, and this time we can run the command as kubectl get pods. Okay, and if I run this, copy paste the command again, kubectl get svc. So when we run svc, it should be able to show us the port on which our application should be running. Okay, so let's try to run this and let's see the output. Build now, go here. Yeah, so okay, you can see here this deployment created and service created, and for when we ran the command get pods, so you can see it's still in running status, like it's since it ran so fast, so to get us the update, it is still showing it is getting content, it is getting created. Okay. And here on last line we can see the port on which our application should be accessible. So let's see if our application is deployed or not. For that we can open this, copy the IP address and paste it, and here we can copy the port on which the application should be running. Click enter and let's see. Yeah, great. So you can see like in this way, this is like just a workaround sort of thing which I am just trying to check, and hopefully it is working fine. So same thing, I would request you to like try another workaround to be more secure. Okay, if not, I will be guiding you in my future videos how we can do that, using simple commands and making the commands more secure. Okay, but you can see like this workaround is working fine and we are able to deploy the application from Jenkins. Okay, so I hope like this video gave you an insight of how you can do the deployment from Jenkins, workaround, but it still works. And yeah, I would request you consider this an assignment. Try to figure out what are the other ways. There are certain plugins, Kubernetes like config plugin or something, which you can use to deploy the application. So try it out, and if you are able to do that, then just post it on LinkedIn and tag me, so that will be nice. And that's all for today, and thanks for watching. Have a nice day.